I wonder if Cecil will make an appearance at some point. Let's see what happens.
I say, it's an awful lot of gin.
So good, so good.
Broadcast with you, with my reputation? No.
Who would have thought it? So today, on a good old natter with, I have the most excellent David Pearson. How you doing, mate?
Pretty good, pretty good. Too hot. But then all Brits at this time of year, we're supposed to say it's too hot for the 2 weeks that it is actually too hot. But yeah.
Mate, you know, 2 weeks ago, I was wearing my coat at work.
Yeah.
In June. What's that all about?
And in 2 weeks' time, it'll be the same.
Yeah. Oh, I hope not. I hope not. Anyway, first question. First gaming experience. What was it?
Oh, it's a nice, easy one. BBC B.
Oh, okay.
My mum bought a BBC B. Well, actually, no. My granddad had an original IBM, but he lived in New York, so we saw him in the summers, and occasionally we go and play on his twin 5.25-inch bays, old, big, lumpy IBM. So yeah, I probably did a little bit on that, but my first one was definitely a BBC B that Mum bought at home, and she got it because it wasn't it was something you could learn on. You know, it was educational as well as fun.
Homework.
And then she bought Elite, and then she started flying Elite, and then I had to fly Elite, and she did the trading, and you get the idea. Yeah, but I learned to program on that. She insisted that I could only use it if I learned how to program it.
Wow, so your mum was an original Elite player?
She is still an Elite player. She is still a Hutton trucker. She is in the Facebook group. She listens to the radio.
Right,
she still thinks that Braben fella's a bit dishy.
Oh, I didn't realise we was dishing out the secrets already.
Sorry, Mum.
Right, so that was your first computer then, as well as gaming experience.
So Text Adventures and Elite.
Oh, right, okay. And
so it was the old Countdown to Doom. The old Professor Peter Kilworth text adventure Countdown to Doom was probably my first gaming experience, if in terms of playing something. Legendary fella. Actually, my mum used to correspond with him and got the sequel and the threequel to it on disc before he passed away, because he was a famous oceanographer as well, and that was his main trade. But he was amazed anybody even knew who he was and remembered the games. And Mum wrote to him, actually got the second and third. Return to Doom, and I can't remember what the third one was called. I've got them on disc somewhere. But that was the old Acorn Soft original game, Countdown to Doom, and then obviously Elite.
Did you spend much time in the arcades at all when you were little?
Oh, first arcade memory. I remember going to the Algarve with me, Mum and Dad. I think Dad was off golfing or something, and the hotel we stayed at had Donkey Kong.
Right,
the original
classic.
Donkey Kong in the corner. And the only memory I really got of playing computer games with my dad was playing late night Donkey Kong with my dad, which is why during lockdown I got bored and built a full height arcade so I could play Donkey Kong with my son in my lounge.
Oh, nice.
So I got a full height. That comes. We'll talk eventy things later, but that comes to events as well and goes up there with Donkey Kong on it. And that's so I suppose my first arcade memory was probably Donkey Kong original.
Yeah. And did you move away from the BBC after that? What sort of machine did you go for after that?
So it was probably BBC Micro Master System. School had them as well.
Yeah.
And then when I was 15, I got my first job, and for a heating controls company over in High Wycombe, and one of the guys there looked after the computers they had there, and I would snaffle parts, and I built my first PC out of the parts I snaffled, while working for them at weekends, and built my first PC out of some of the spare parts from this company, and then moved up to PCs that way. So I built my first PC was my first PC. Built that when I was 15, and and I think there are still parts of it under the desk here in my PC.
Oh wow!
Always, it's triggers broom. You always try and keep something.
Yeah. So was that like a 386 or something?
Oh crikey! Not even that late. No,
No,
earlier.
no.
Go back.
Two, two,
Old
two,
MFM hard disks that were about this big, and you had to do the dip switches on them to make the things work.
Oh blimey! Okay, yeah.
So we're talking early 086, early 286s. Then went up to a Vigeland.
Yeah.
Keeping some of the same parts, and then got the old AWE 32, AWE 64 sound cards, and went up from there to 486 Pentium, all the way along.
That'd be nice to see that working. To be honest, if you could get that all built up and
the parts, the things that died became parts for the next computer. So the one under my desk, the water-cooled beastie with the glowy lights under my desk here, has still got 1 or 2 bits from that original.
Really brilliant. Yes. I like it. Okay, so the Elite Dangerous community. I mean, I started to hear about Elite Dangerous back in 2015, I think it was, with a Kickstarter.
Yep.
And I think the Kickstarter had already finished by then. So I had to sign up for the, for the first download, if you like.
Yeah.
When did you start with Elite Dangerous? Oh, was it an alpha? Was it? Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I literally every year from when I started my business and everything, it was just check on the Frontier website every now and again for any news. And then I missed the start of the Kickstarter when it came up. And somebody notified me, and then I watched a video by James Vigor, who's used to be one of the regulars over at LaveCon events and things. And I saw him on a stream and went, I backed it, I think, at a beta level. I went, oh no, I just need alpha. Just put the money in the tin. I've been waiting for this for so long. So yeah, I was right in at early alpha days.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah, I was late to the party regarding that. It was when I was just waiting for release. I'd already got my flight controls ready for Christmas. So yeah,
X52 kicking around in the corner.
Yes, what a stick as well. What a stick! Yeah. What a stick!
Still the best one for it.
Yeah, I've got X52. I think it is the Cytec one.
Yeah, the Pro's still the best.
Still
the best
rocking.
Bang for your buck. Yeah.
So what?
So, and I got the head tracker as well. So I got a Track IR back when Alpha was on. So I got the Track IR head tracker for looking around the screens, and I got the X52, and still using both of them now.
Yeah, I was going to say it wasn't just about buying the game, was it? It was buying the controls, the head tracker. I mean, my whole PC setup. I don't know if you're the same. It was set up purely for that game.
Yes.
I mean, it ruined all the rest of my gaming.
Oh, my desk. Yeah, there's flight sticks in front of me here.
Yeah.
There's button boards. There's pedals under the desk. There's a Track IR in front of me next to the camera there. Yeah, I mean, it did ruin other games.
Mm. So what made you get involved in the community side of it with live? I suppose it was live radio, and then
it was
groups afterwards, wasn't it?
Originally during the alpha, there were a bunch of us. There were some regular names. There was Zaphod Beeble and the piracy around one of the stations when he was blockading with a Viper around one of the stations. Okay. So there were only a handful of stations. So you'd bump into the same people and you'd chat to them, and then you go on the forums and you'd find out who they were. And I think I got to meet Bill, Zaphod Beeble, and the Stablers, John and Chris Stabler, through sort of the early alpha stuff, and then obviously heard about the LaveCon event when it was in that sports hall. So before it became the hotel place that it was at, right. And went down to an early one at the sports hall and met these people that I'd been flying with. I mean, this was the best thing about Elite, was that I'm used to playing it on the BBC Micro, where it's you and the wireframe graphics and some Thargoids occasionally, and and all of a sudden there's another dude there too. And they can fly, and it worked. And you were flying spaceships with other people, which was incredible, absolutely incredible. And so to get to meet them in person at, you know, just a random sports hall somewhere, you know, crack open the bar and enjoy the company. So that was the first one I went to. And yeah, got to meet a lot of the people that now I consider very close friends there, including bumping into a random chap over breakfast. We both got up early and we needed to go get breakfast, so just walked down the local petrol station to get it. And then, as you do the friend on Facebook thing. And an old mate of mine from university says, "How the heck do you know Eric?" Now, Eric is from Malmo, yeah? There's no other connection between him and one of my university mates. That we don't live in the same area, whatever else. And I go, "Well, how do you know Eric?" And it turns out they know each other and their families know each other and all sorts. Just an incredibly small world. But yeah, through Elite, we sort of bumped into an old university mate of mine. I bumped into him flying through space somewhere, and I get a message saying, "Dave, is that you?" And it's my mate Wolverhampton John, who's from Bilston, who now lives in Canada, and I bumped into him in space.
Wow, sunny Bilston.
Yeah,
my neck of the woods.
so a lot of these people have become you know, like lifetime friends. You know, Snoz and Alvin are regularly around the house, and yeah, the community is still one that I've made some incredibly good friends. And so from there, they went obviously to the next LaveCon when they moved to the hotel that was their home for a number of years, and lent a hand. I mean, the best way to meet everybody is lend a hand. So I did all the ticketing for it for a couple of years. So of course you get to meet everyone on the front desks, which was fantastic.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? The effect that this game, you know, has put onto people. It really is a strange one. I mean, making friends is incredible. The amount of friends that we've all made through just playing this game.
The experiences I've had, money couldn't buy. Genuinely. No. And it's much the same as when I got into motorsport pre this, and it's how I met my wife and whatever else. The people you meet at trackside, some of the friends I've made there it's a similar kind of community feel to it. You know, you've all got this passion. I imagine it's the same with any hobby, but I've met such the best group of people through that, and similarly in this, I've met the best group of people.
Yeah, and it's vast as well, isn't it?
Oh really, yeah, but I mean, to get to, as a result of doing LaveCon, to meet the developers, make some friends over at the developer, who then say, "Well, you know, you guys should make this a thing in the game." So we made it a thing in the game, and having made it a thing in the game, then you know, 5,000 people came and joined in with what we were doing, and then the radio show, and then our own event, and then, you know, and then to the work and the job that I'm doing now, and all sorts. I mean, the whole thing just snowballed as a result. And all of this for my, I don't know, 100 quid that I chucked in for a alpha access to a silly computer game. Yeah,
it's it really is mental when you think about it. So how did the talk us through the group? How did the Hutton truckers start?
Late night bar. LaveCon, probably its second year that I went. We were talking about sort of the really long journeys, super cruises, all sorts. And in the original game, there were a couple of long ones as well. And it seems to have been preserved that this Alpha Centauri, you know, Hutton orbital thing was an awfully long way in a straight line. And it's sort of the old, you know, wouldn't it be funny if you got all the way there and all you got at the end of it was a mug saying, you know, that was it. Actually, a mug. There we go. Yeah, I traveled all this way and all I got was a mug, because there's no point to going. And so it's sort of, a bunch of us were talking about this at the bar, you know, Psycho Cow and me, and Snoz was there, and I think Mr Shouty was there as well. And he was doing the Dockers podcast with, what was it, David Brubin, throwing mugs at people. So this concept of, you know, you go all this way and all you get is a mug, just for a bit of a laugh. And then Frontier did a thing to put a new rare in the game. And I think a couple of people put me up to it, including Frontier, and said, "Well, why don't you submit a story for this mug? And you could actually have a rare item, a mug stuck at Hutton people could buy." And so my mum, actually, talking about her earlier, came up with a backstory for the mug, because it's a long way. Clearly, the spaceships don't all make it, and they use the scrap from the spaceships to make this special commemorative mug. And obviously, because it's made out of smashed spaceships that when you fly in Super Cruise, it gets warm and keeps your drink warm. And that was my mum's. That's my mum's idea.
Amazing.
So we were on holiday in Spain with my mum, and she helped me fill in the backstory of this. We submitted it as a joke, and it got something like 60% of the votes all on its own. So they said, right, fine. There's a CG going to happen, and depending on how well you do in the CG, if you win the CG, then the mugs will have a certain number of them in. So Grant, Psycho Cow, said, well, we need to keep people company. And he was doing some sort of podcasting and, streaming and whatever already. And said, well, why don't we host a radio show to keep people company while they're flying an hour and a half in a straight line to drop some scrap, to come back, to pick up some scrap, to dry an hour and a half in a straight line, to drop some off, which is incredibly boring. So he and I and a few others did this radio show to keep people company during the CG, and loads of people tuned in. And why are we doing this? It's for the mug. I mean, this is where it came from. Why are you traveling an hour and a half in a straight line 100 times in a week? It's for the mug, because at the end of it, a mug's going to be put in the game. That's where the for the mug came from. And we got to the end of the week. We did really well. Loads of mugs got inserted. Everybody had a good laugh. And then people said, well, you are going to keep doing the radio show, aren't you? So once a week since then, every Thursday night, we've done the radio show.
Yeah, still goes on to this day.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And we get people tune in. And if we didn't broadcast last week, family matters and all sorts got in the way. We get messages saying, oh, my week, what? Where's the show? And we get some lovely messages from people. I mean, there was, and he won't mind me saying it, there was a chap, one of our regulars, and he lost his wife a couple of years ago. And he says his Thursday nights listening to the show are what keeps him going. You know what I mean? It got him through. Wow. The loneliness and, you know what I mean, not having his wife about. And we've always said, as long as one person is enjoying the stupidity we get up to on a Thursday night, then we're going to keep doing it. And it just has to be one person. If one person's week is made better, we'll do it.
Oh, wow. That's a real nice thing to hear, isn't it, that?
Mm.
Yeah.
We get the loveliest messages from people. And people join in. It's infectious. They join in. You know, whatever events we put on or whatever ideas we come up with, people join in, and it gives them a reason to play the game, you know, or to get back into it and say, oh, but you guys are taking one mug everywhere. Yes, we are delivering at the moment one Hutton mug and one Centauri Megagene to every station and settlement in the game, which is something like 500,000.
Yeah.
Places.
All the stations, yeah,
and we're currently 150,000 through it after a year and a half, and people just jump in and they say, "Oh, I've done 10 this week," and there are people who've done thousands, tens of thousands, and so they're logging in. What am I going to do? Well, I'll go deliver some mugs, and they just go to stations no one's ever been before and sell them, and then fly to another one. So they're getting to explore the bubble
at the same time. Yeah,
a stupid idea that Mr. Shouty came up with.
There's been some great events. So, I mean, you know, I was a member of the truckers myself, and fighting for
convoys,
the convoys, and George's pants, and
they still happen. I mean, not as frequently these days. Real life interferes with us organising some of them sometimes, but people put them on, and so Valkyrius is regularly taking people out to bash Thargoids at the moment, and there's all sorts.
Yeah,
and then we started the ECM event, which is a bit like LaveCon but different. Which is now, I think it was 10 years since the first one. I think it was not me involved in the first one. The early ones were, I think, Flossie and Snoz and a couple of people at a pub, and then it migrated into, I think Cal put one on at the Redhurst Hotel in Glasgow, and then it migrated into what it is now, which was apart from COVID years, we don't mention those.
No. Well, that's a good segue into the next. Actually, we'll leave that bit for now about ECM, because you're also involved in HCS Voice packs, which is the voice packs for Elite Dangerous, not just Elite Dangerous, but there's other games as well, isn't there? Like No Man's Sky, and I think is it Helldivers?
Starfield, No Man's Sky, Helldivers, Flight Sim, Star Citizen, Elite Dangerous, Call of Duty, Battlefields, Star Wars Squadrons, and more. X4 Foundations.
Wow. So for people who don't know, what are HCS Voice packs?
So HCS Voice Pack's a voice pack's built on the voice attack platform. So voice attack as a platform allows the computer to recognize your voice and push buttons. But effectively, it's like a pseudo programming language. So it's not just push buttons. You can get it to do things, and you got plugins. So what HCS Voice Packs did is they, Paul went to a couple of casting agents he knew and sort of said, well, what we need is a ship's computer. Not just the one done by Verity Croft that's in the game in Elite, but we want sci-fi stars. We want things that sound like Jarvis and Tars and all these or 2001 and these kind of things. You want an interactive ship's computer where you can talk to it and it does the thing. And what you want the sound coming back is when you talk to it saying deploy landing gear, you want Captain Kirk or you want Susan Ivanova from Babylon 5, giving you some verbal back when you do it as your ship's computer, like your Jarvis. So he did that, and early days, him and his team put together some profiles where, if you say deploy the landing gear, it pushed the landing gear button, and you got feedback from sci-fi stars. Then I started helping out. I don't know what year it was, but I went down to a studio when they had Tom Baker in Doctor Who.
Oh, legend.
And mysteriously, maybe due to a night out the night before, there were bits of script not complete, shall we say. And so there's me on a keyboard in the morning with a hangover writing script for Tom Baker. And sort of slap it in front of him in the morning, and then Paul turns around and says, "You wrote it, you're directing it." So there's me and a studio looking like a bit like this one, and my hero Doctor Who on the other side of the glass, treating me like a professional, reading the words that I wrote, which I'm then going to program into a game I love so that Tom Baker can talk back to me.
That must have been the most surreal experience ever.
It was mad and incredibly good fun. And then we also did our own for charity, just a really silly voice pack, a Cecil one, a drunken gin swazzled, you know what I mean, so and so, a bit like one of the Fast Show characters, and did that for charity, and that chucked 1,500 quid in the special effects charity tin just by existing, because apparently Americans quite like drunken Brits as their ship's computer. And then when I was lending a hand a bit and doing a bit of work on the packs and extending them, so when the On Foot stuff came out, the Odyssey stuff came out, I was doing a lot of the programming just in my free time. And then COVID happened and I had no work. And so Paul went, well, do you want to do this properly? So I started doing it properly and reprogramming huge chunks of it. So we rolled out the exobiology setup for Elite Dangerous. So we've got Brent Spiner, Data from Star Trek, reading all the exobiology from Elite, so that when you scan a space loofah, he actually gives you the scientific description in sort of real cool Commander Data style from your ship's, from your suit helmet to you. So he's telling you all about, photosynthesis and chemosynthesis and all sorts of stuff. And then we did the gravity on foot stuff. So when you're doing the on foot bits, you get the audio feedback. We then rolled out Microsoft Flight Sim, which was I had to be taught by a real pilot what all these buttons inside a 747, this huge bank above you, what they all do.
Wow.
So that we could program them so that you as the pilot could give an instruction, to APU start and all sorts of things, and it would give the right audio feedback. So in order to write the script, we had to learn how to fly the plane. So we had a real pilot, and he was 747 and other pilot, but he was also Hercules pilot back in the day. A wonderful chap. So taught me enough so I knew what all the buttons did above me in an airliner. And so we then had to program in, well, but if you were sat with a co-pilot, what would you say to them to tell them to do the thing? What is the exact phrase you would use as a pilot? Or when you're talking to air traffic control, what's the exact phrase? So we programmed all these phrases in. Then we had to learn what Americans say that's different to what European pilots say as well. And everything to do with flight levels and how they call them differently and all sorts. And then we programmed up one for Microsoft Flight Sim such that you can sit in a plane cold at the gate at Heathrow with the plane off, and you can fold your arms and you can call out the instructions, and slowly all the things turn on one by one. So you can go through a whole startup process for an airliner, and then you call for the taxi, and it pushes you back, and you can tell it which angle to push you back at, and you can then tell your co-pilot to taxi you to the runway, and he takes over and taxis you to the runway. And then all you need to do, literally, is just pull back a tiny bit on a flight stick, and everything else is voice. So you can turn, you can set headings, you can set altitudes, and you can capture the glide slope on the way in. And I flew from Heathrow to Cardiff in an airliner using nothing more than my voice, and landed it.
Wow.
The only thing I had to do was just pull back on a flight stick to take off.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. So that was quite cool.
That's incredible.
And then we sort of rolled it out to other games. So obviously, Star Citizen Elite Dangerous is where they started. We then, and then of course, Helldivers came out recently, and it's got all these stratagem inputs. We have to up, down, left, right, up, down, left, or whatever it is to call a hell bomb. And I took one look at the Vasco pack, which is Brian Blessed, and just the idea of piling out of a dropship over a planet to go and kill bugs with Brian Blessed yelling in your ear as you fall out of this dropship was just a match made in heaven. So we did our Astra voice. We did Vasco, which is Brian Blessed. We did Claudia Christian from Babylon 5, Susan Ivanova, because she's a bit shooty. We did these voices and put them in, and put that one live earlier in the year, which is a bit different because it's not space flight. This one's more of a pew-pew combat thing. And then we did X4 Foundations because they've just done a new update for X4 Foundations. So we just rolled in all of that. And they've got some quite complex menus in that game. So actually accessing the menus using voice helps, because trying to remember, I got to click that one left and down and click on that and whatever. It was really confusing. So you just tell it what you want and it goes through the menus and gets to it. So for managing your empire in X4 Foundations. And all the while, we flew over to LA. We recorded with Bill Shatner, with Brent Spiner, who is a proper gentleman, with Claudia Christian, with John Delancey, who is the funniest human being I've ever met in my life.
Really?
He swears. I mean, oh my goodness, the language that comes out of that man is yes. So we deliberately wrote him a sweary script, and he made it even more sweary.
Wow.
And then we had obviously Norman Lovett came along. Just mentioning ECM again, he came along as our guest. So we've got Norman Lovett from Red Dwarf. We've got 36 cast members now. So from Sci-Fi, back from Blake 7 all the way through to the latest.
That's incredible. I mean, do they? I mean, first of all, I mean, how do you even go about asking somebody of that caliber to
call up their agent, throw some money in front of them, and say, look, if you've got a bored afternoon, here's a fee for coming to the studio, and here's some pennies for everyone you sell. Job done. I mean, it costs money, and some voice actors cost more than others. But these are my heroes. I mean, this is my Doctor Who.
I know you got
Captain Kirk.
You got to meet all these cool guys. I mean,
next generation. This is. I mean, John Delancey, Q from Star Trek.
So, do the guests enjoy doing it? I mean, you know.
Well, I mean, so I can't say anything but lovely things about people. Some of them are better than others. Yeah. So we did a recording with a voice pack called Callisto, which was done by Anna Dimitriou. Now, Anna is an actress. Anna is a Lambda-trained voice actress. She's also a gamer. She's also a streamer, and she also plays Star Citizen. So for her to get her own voice in Star Citizen, so she got the context of what all these commands mean. So a lot of the actors, they're just reading lines you give them, and you have to direct them a bit. Well, with her, she knew what she was doing. And when you hear a Lambda trained voice actress, turn it on, just turn the voice on, and just blast through it. We heard 3 lines, and Paul and I looked at each other and just sort of sat back. Doesn't need directing.
Yeah, just carry on.
Just 100 pages of script. I mean, I've got some of the scripts here. This is whose is this one? This was Gates McFadden's script. This is the Nova script, great big fat thing here, yeah. And it is literally pages and where's my camera? There you are, pages and pages of just lines and lines and lines.
Wow.
For an actress or an actor, this is dull because you're just. I mean, if you read through a page here, it is frame shift drive disengaging, frame shift drive engaging, frame shift now engaged, no anomalies detected, frame shift now engaged. And literally, it's variants on the same line hundreds of times. So for an actor, this is not like reading dialogue. This is like reading the phone book. Yeah. So Anna was great because she gets the game. So she she knew what she was talking about and she could picture it. Whereas if you get Gates McFadden, who's used to reading dialogue, effectively she's reading the phone book, and
Yeah.
you have to actively direct that because it tails off. You know, the enthusiasm levels tail off. But on the other hand, you get Claudia Christian, who was Susan Ivanova in Babylon 5. A consummate professional. I have never heard anything like it. She went through that script. I think hers is down here somewhere. Where's who we got here? Yeah, here's Claudia's one. All signed as well. And hers is twice as fat. She got through that with an hour to spare.
Wow. So she loved
got
it
through
then.
that script in 3 hours.
Mm.
And we got to the end and say, do we need to do any retakes? No. But then you work with Tom Baker, who was much slower, product maybe of his age, but he would do his own retakes. So if there was a line that could be said 2 different ways, he would say it, and then he'd say it the other way as well. So you'd have both takes.
Oh, okay.
And he would direct he'd just quickly say, and this word here, he'd check it with you. And whereas when you're working with John Delancey, what he'll do is he'll read it and he'll mutter the line under his breath. I've got a whole John Delancey mutters version of the script. What he'll do is he'll mutter the line under his breath, and then turn the voice on. And what a voice, by the way! This baritone that comes, he's huge. I'm not short. He's tall, and this baritone voice comes out of him. And then he'll mutter the next line, and then he'll read it. So each actor has their own style. So he tried to understand the lines, whereas Brent Spiner, the Commander Data from Next Generation, I gave him the most technical lines. Do I have his script here? I might have his script here actually. Hang on. No, that's John's one. But I gave him these incredibly complex scientific lines, and he just blasted through them without a blip, without an error. And we sort of said to him, that's astonishing. He said, well, normally I have to learn these lines. So when I'm doing the Commander Data thing, I've got to learn it as script. You've written it down for me. This is easy. And yeah. So he'd read all the techno babble and techno jargon. What a gentleman the man is as well. Loveliest human being too.
Wow.
Yeah. So they've all got their own different styles. Some of them get it, some of them don't. Some of them have a laugh, some of them don't. Norman Lovett definitely likes a laugh. But yeah, and this is where I've had to learn from Paul how to direct, because he's made me direct some of it as well.
Yeah, really put you on the spot.
You have to push the finger and see, we just have a little more emphasis on the second word there, or yeah.
Wow.
So it's been, for me, paying the money for this silly alpha Kickstarter for Elite has opened up a world. I get to play with my sci-fi heroes.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
really is.
And then obviously we get to invent cool technology as well, because obviously this is voice control, and it's acted lines, so it's not AI, it's not computer performed, it's all acted lines, and we're very strong on that one. And there's a nuance in performance that, yes, you could imitate somebody's voice, but you're losing a lifetime of training and skills on how to deliver lines. But then the programming behind it to make it sound like it is an AI, like it is a ship's computer, that's where the clever stuff comes in.
Yeah.
So it gives variance into the lines, and it's, there's got to be enough variation in there. It's not the same thing every time.
Because you're going to come across that, aren't you? With people who don't know, they'll be like, "Oh, I imagine that's an AI doing that," and you're like, "No, that's the real."
That's writing. Yeah.
That's the real.
This is what Paul's good. This is what Paul's good at. But we had actually a complaint. Somebody lodge a complaint and start a bit of a campaign that we were ripping actors off by ripping their voices off and using AI. They actually thought it was AI, and we were ripping these actors' voices off. We actually had to tag some of our cast and say, no, they actually came into the studio with us. Here's his photo.
Right. You're always going to get that. You're always going to get one, aren't you? Yeah.
They were outraged on behalf of actors who were actually paid for their performance.
Oh, there's always somebody outraged over something for somebody else, isn't that? Yeah.
but then we get to have the cool technology. So we were talking to a few streamers. I mean, you do your podcasts. I do the Thursday streams, and stream decks as an example. And a lot of streamers were saying, but problem is when I'm talking to my stream, I want the sounds to happen. I wanted to request docking or whatever it is in whatever game. but then talking to the computer's hard, but I'm also talking to. So earlier in the year, we came up with a Stream Deck connector, which actually wires up the Stream Deck to voice attack, so that you can push a button for each of the commands, and then it executes them as if you'd said that sentence. So instead of having to say lower the landing gear, you just push the landing gear button. Now, yes, it could just push G and play one sound, but what this does is actually connects up the whole voice attack profile to it, so you get the random sounds, the whole sequence. You know what I mean? It's
you'll get the proper response. Yeah,
the proper response. And if you change your crew, for instance, from Orion, which is William Shatner, to Eli, which is John Delancey, it will then respond as John Delancey. So, you know, it's not the same as just programming a sound on the letter G on a button. It actually opens up the whole, you know, the voice attack sequence there onto a Stream Deck connector. And we took the decision also to open it up so that you could put your own commands in. So you can put a custom command in. So if you created your own command saying, go and make the tea, and you push the button, you'll get the response for go and make the tea, even though it's not in our profiles at all. But then we had a grumble that, well, we don't want to have to go and buy a Stream Deck. So I'm just putting the final touches to one that runs on your own tablet on Android, where you can sit here with your phone and you can push buttons on your phone and your computer starts playing the game for you. Well, it doesn't play it for you. It's not that level of automation, but it'll lower the landing gear. So I can pick up my phone and see lower the landing gear on my phone, and Elite will lower the landing gear and the AI voice will respond. So it's a mobile phone connector. That means you don't have to have a Stream Deck. And that's something coming out in the next few weeks that I've been having to learn how to program.
Wow. So is there a dedicated app for this piece of hardware?
So the app, well, you fire the app up, and if it's on the same network as your PC says, hello, I'm here. And the app goes, oh, I can see voice attack on one of your computers. Do you want to connect to it? And you say, yes, please. And then you just put buttons on. So you can say, I want request docking, and I want lower the landing gear, deploy the hard points, go to Super Cruise, and you push it, and your ship goes to Super Cruise. No wires attached, you know?
Wow.
So yeah, that's so we get to invent some cool technology as well. I was just seeing if I've got it on the phone here. Yeah, I do. So yeah, I mean, you got it on the phone. You program a button up. There we are, button 2. What do we want? We want it for Elite. What command do you want for Elite? Cargo scoop open. You put cargo scoop open there, and you've now got a cargo scoop open. Can you see it there? The top one there. Cargo scoop open. And when you push that, my computer's on silent. If Elite was running, it would open the cargo scoop and give you the sound.
Wow.
And it, detects your connection for you, and it just works off your mobile.
Oh, that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
From an accessibility perspective, and this is it's not just for gamers, also for accessibility. So we talk quite a lot of special effects as well about, okay, well, how else can you control a computer other than, with your flight stick? Can you use your voice? Can you use a button? Can you use a special sensitive cushion to lean left and right? It's about how you interact with your computer. So there's the entertainment aspect, the theatre aspect, but then there's also how else can you interact with this thing in front of you?
Yes, incredible.
From a disability gaming perspective, using your voice quite often, if you've got a physical disability, if you've got spinal injuries, that kind of thing, your voice is something that quite often is still there and working. Can you use it to fly a plane from Heathrow to Cardiff?
Yeah.
So I'm waxing lyrical a bit. You can tell I'm a bit enthusiastic about it.
No, it's fantastic, David. It really is. You mentioned special effect.
Yep.
Which is a charity for. It's not just kids. It's anybody with a disability.
It's anybody. And I'm going to have to stop you one thing first. You mean the Bafta award-winning special effect?
Bafta award-winning. Wow. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's.
That was recent news. Yeah. Special effect. It's helping anybody who's got physical disabilities enjoy the world of gaming and computers. I mean, that is, if you boiled it down to a nutshell, whether it is degenerative illness, whether it's childhood illness, whether it's a spinal injury, whether it's anything at all, how can you control the computer and open up this world of gaming, of multiplayer gaming, of friendship and fun and whatever else? I mean, the UN Charter on the rights of the child, the right to play is enshrined in a UN charter. And what they do is they open up the world of play to people with physical disabilities. If you can't go and kick the football around outside, can you play FIFA with your big brother, your big sister, your dad, or whoever? And if so, how do we enable that? I mean, as a charity, how do we enable you to enjoy play? You're not just sitting there watching somebody else play Mario. How do you play it? Or you want to play a racing game? You know, if you've got motor control problems where maybe your fine motor control in your hands isn't what it should be, can we give you foot controllers? Can, you know, if you've got a spinal injury, can you use eye control? Can you use a chin controller? You know, but all of this opens up the world of gaming. And it's been my pleasure to be an ambassador for them now for 10 years.
Yeah, that's incredible work you're doing there.
But
you know,
Dr. Mick got a BAFTA a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. So I said,
Yeah.
Dr. Mick got the charity were awarded a BAFTA special award at the Computer Games BAFTAs, and he had to go up on stage and get his little, you know, his little BAFTA statue as a special award from BAFTA for services rendered by the charity. Obviously, he accepted it on behalf of the whole team, and they are an awesome team.
Yeah.
And obviously during lockdown, they were doing these for kids that had to isolate because their conditions meant they couldn't be. I mean, it was super dangerous to be around anybody, even more dangerous than it was for you or I, because their immune systems were compromised because of the treatments, whatever. And they created this little bubble boy robot that sits on a desk at school as well, so that, you know, kids were able to take part in school with a little avatar on the desk that could indicate, you know, actually take part in the lessons. And it was on BBC News a while back, and so it also had educational uses as well as gaming. But they basically all about using technology to enable people to take part.
Yeah, and it's everybody should be able to have fun and play games. Everybody should have that privilege, shouldn't they? So
I've been seeing
work.
some of the when you go to their offices, they've got a back room where the occupational therapists put up some of the equipment, and some of the people who are benefiting from the technology they do are in there. And you go in, and if there's somebody in there, you hear giggling, you hear the kind of laughter. You could be the hardest hearted person on the planet. You can't be, because you're hearing kids play computer games for the first time as a result of this technology, and they're sitting there with their mum and their dad playing insert game here, whatever it is, for the first time. And the joy and laughter you hear from this room. So many charities are about very worthy, you know, curing cancer, and you know what I mean. They're that end. Not enough are about enabling fun.
Yes, yeah, which is all part of recovery as well.
Well, for your mental health, if nothing
and for
else.
mental health, absolutely. I was going to say that.
It's a big thing at the moment. You the various mental health charities and whatever, but the ability to play while you're recovering, while you're going through treatment. I mean, doctors will tell you, and I don't have access to science behind it, but happiness and joy and being able to play as part of your recovery, you know, it's got to help your recovery. It's got to, you know what I mean? There's got to be a physical benefit to being able to have joy.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's brilliant.
So, yes. And so HCS, we're involved with that a bit, but then obviously Hutton, we also are involved in it, you know, the elite side of things as well. So the whole community is. Yeah.
So ECM this year, what's happening for ECM? Yeah, the elite community meet. Yeah, what's going on in 2024 then?
Much the same as it was in 2023. Basically, a whole pile of us. I mean, it originally started with elite. It was our excuse. You know, what actually happens on the day is not that much about elite, and an awful lot about a bunch of really good friends getting together and enjoying fun gaming, barbecue, social. So we hire a hotel, a big room in a hotel, and that room looks a little bit like what's behind you at the moment in places. It is covered wall to wall in BBC Micros, Commodore 64s, full height arcades, 4-player racing, Mario Kart, Gang Beasts, you name it, and tables in the middle. One of them is covered in Lego, and we have a Lego building challenge, board games, Cards Against Everything, probably later at night, you know, when we've had a few. And we all turn up at 10 in the morning. We play and have a laugh. and everybody chucks in the tin. So it's not a commercial thing. Everybody chucks the money in the tin. I think it's a tenner to get in for the day. That money goes towards putting it on, and there's a bit of a supplement if you want lunch and barbecue. And then we party hard until the hotel get upset with us at about between 11 and midnight. And then we all go to the bar, those who are staying, and we carry on till about 4 in the morning until the barman falls asleep behind the bar or gets upset with us. And at the end of it, money ends up in the charity team. We got a big raffle. Last year, we raised £5,030 exactly for special effect and hearing dogs for deaf people.
Wow. Okay, so if there's one thing, it's raising the money for those two good charities. So that's incredible. So do you take over the hotel?
We try. There has actually always been another event on. So last year there was a wedding, and the bride actually came looking for the groom and her dad, who'd come into our event to play on one of the arcade machines and chucked a tenner in the tin each. And she'd lost her new husband and her dad, and they were in their suits, and they popped into the event to come and play games. This year there is a 50th birthday party in the hotel at the same time. It's quite a big hotel. But yeah, 10th of August, down in Wokingham. So not far from Reading, for those of you from the Midlands upwards. Sort of Reading, Wokingham, that corner down there. On Saturday, the 10th of August, where most of us actually go on the Friday and have a laugh on the build-up. So, and it's put on by us. It's not put on by me or a pro team, albeit events or what I've lived for 25 years. The people turning up put the event on. So they turn up with their own computer, their own BBC Micro, or somebody volunteers to run the 4-player racing, or you get the idea.
It's a whole community event. Yeah.
It's put on by us for us.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It's not, it doesn't have stands, it doesn't have talks, it doesn't have panels, it hasn't got, commercial sponsors, people selling books, merch. It's got us lot with our entire youth laid out in the room in terms of gaming.
Yeah.
Whether you are 16 or 70. And and mysteriously at the end of it, money ends up in the charity tin.
Brilliant. So what will you be taking to this event then?
So I've got my PC, which will be running the main stage. We've got second PC, which is going to be running one of the, I think it's going to be a 6-player Assetto Corsa Racing with the steering wheels. We had 4-player last year. I think we're going up 6-player this time. It was so popular.
Nice.
I've got a telly over there with a PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. We've got the Nintendo Wii with obviously the Mario Kart on it. I've got the full height arcade downstairs, which my son and I built, which is going with Donkey Kong on it. And then we've got the Paul Vernan Memorial Collection.
Oh, right. So what's that collection then?
So one of our community, a chap named Paul Vernan, was a techno necromancer. He basically, if you look over your left shoulder there, I can see there's a piece of technology over your left. Is it your left shoulder there? Or is it your right? Yeah, there.
BBC? There's a BBC.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he basically rescued and restored things like that.
Yeah.
And actually, he was unfortunately very, very unwell, incredibly unwell, and passed away. We kept him company during his final few months. And he said, look, this collection, and he's got BBC Micro, Master, Risk PC, Archimedes, Commodore 64, Amigas, and he had rooms and rooms full of things he'd lovingly restored. Electron, some real rare stuff as well. And a whole house full of it. And he said, I can't bear for this to go. And I don't want to leave it all to Tracy to deal with, his partner, after he passed away. So he said, look, I'm going to be gone soon. I just need you guys to promise me this is going to be looked after. And people can love it. So we went round, Stephen Usher and I went round, and we catalogued and rescued what we could, which was most of it. And it is all carefully sealed and boxed up, and it comes out for events. And the Paul Vernan Memorial Collection, which is a collection like you only see inside museums. And you're a regular at some of these, retro museums. It is, as I said, it's a BBC A, BBC B, Model 4, BBC B, Model 7, Master with a keyboard and one of those little swan neck things where you move your hand near it, a bit like a theremin, and it makes music and sound. One of only 4 left in the world.
Wow.
A Risk PC, the Archimedes running Archelete. Yeah, an incredible collection, including all the games, everything. And so we've had all the games framed and boxed up, and they go out on the walls at the event. So all the old Acorn soft games are all laid out on the walls. And this is in memory of him helping raise money for charity in his name. And we break this stuff out, and people relive their own youth. I remember one of these from school, you know?
Yeah.
And we break them out, and everybody takes great care of them, and they use them. That's what they were meant for. To be used, and they get very carefully restored and put away at the end, and they come out for the next event.
Wow, incredible. Yeah, you'll have to make sure you get me some pictures of some of these rare machines. Yeah, and
obviously all in memory of Paul Vernan, and obviously with the absolute blessing of Tracy, his partner. And the rule with all the technology goes, if at any point we can't look after it, it has to go to somebody who can. It will not be broken up. It will not be separated, and it will never be monetized.
No. Does his wife come along to the event at all, or?
She was thinking about it last year. I think it was maybe a little soon. Raw.
Yeah.
She got the pictures. She got the video.
Yeah.
So she's very aware of it. Whether she'll come along, it was very much his hobby, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think she just takes joy in the fact that we're taking joy out of all the things he took joy out of. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's almost his memories living on, is it, through the events that you're doing?
There's little plaques inside each of the machines. We've put just tiny little plaque inside the machine, and it just says his name on the inside of the machine, somewhere discreet as well, so that all of them are in memory of him.
Oh wow! Okay, that's a nice little touch.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Well, she didn't want to. She didn't want to give it to a museum and have some of these things bust up for bits, if you know what I mean. Used for spare parts to rescue other things, which is why we said, well, we need to keep it together as a set.
Yeah. Looked after. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Are there any shout outs you'd like to give, or can we have some websites that people should go to?
Okay. Well, so ECM itself, the Elite Community Meet, is elitecommunitymeet.info.
Right.
And that's where you find all the info about the Elite Community Meet.
Okay.
You can get your tickets on there. There are about 15 left. Excuse me, I'm perspiring terribly here. Very warm office. So elitecommunitymeet.info. It's got all the details about the event, what we're doing, the charities, and whatever else. Hey, look, if you're free that weekend and you've got a tenner and you want to raise some money for charity and have a laugh in the company of gamers, come along. That's the short version.
Yeah.
If you like this, sorry.
I wish I could. I'm gutted, but I'm at a Corn gig in London, so.
Well, we got Frontier coming along. So Frontier Developments themselves are coming along as well. So we've got 3 of their team as always, and we put them on stage. We do a stage show in the evening with some sketches and skits as well, and we always make them get up on stage and give them a script they've never seen before to read out loud, and maybe embarrass themselves a little bit and take the mickey out of their own game a tiny bit, but it's all done in jest. Mr. Shouty does the Dockers podcast, which is very sweary and very late at night. We've got Lave Radio doing a podcast from the stage. We've got Paige from Special Effect, who has to do a remote Paige because of her own health. So we have a little computer screen with Paige on it. And she's going to be challenging people to come and beat her up in Gang Beasts, multiplayer Gang Beasts, and throw people around a screen on that one. And she's going to be hosting that remotely. We've got Top Secret, some music, hopefully from Tom Cook Tokuso. Tom Cook, who's going to do us a little bit of a set at some point. Galnet News Digest, Pete Wotherspoon's there. We've got Ascorbius and Psychic and a bunch of the streamers turning up as well from the Elite Community. Lego Building Challenge.
The whole gang, the whole caboodle.
And we're streaming it. And you're
streaming it. Oh, excellent. At least I can watch the streams then. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, David. Yeah,
that, and then obviously anybody on the HCS Voice Packs things, that's easy. HCSVoicePacks.com.
Nice and simple. I shall put all these links and whatever into the notes anyway in the description.
And specialeffect.org.uk. You don't need to put the BAFTA award winning on the front of it, though. I have told them they ought to get that domain name, the BAFTA award winning specialeffect.org.uk.
Wow, That's a super proud moment, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's actually 2 charities for us at ECM, so it's that and Hearing Dogs. So we
Yes.
split it 50-50.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Right. I thought just to finish off, we'd have a quick fire round. Okay. Now, nothing.
The old grey matter isn't what it used to be.
Nothing too taxing. Okay. Favorite ship in Elite Dangerous?
Favorite ship? It has to be the Cobra Mark III. I mean, as a
Classic.
G1 classic, Cobra Mark III. I don't fly it very often, but when I do, I love it.
It's fun.
I fly something else. I fly a crate or a Python, but actually, in my heart, it's a bit like the Betty Wilmer discussion. You know, you'd be with one but thinking of the other one. So I'm in my Python, but I'm thinking of the Python.
Yeah, the purple Python.
Yeah, it's up on the desk here. Yeah.
Okay. Favorite role in Elite Dangerous?
Radio broadcaster out of Hutton.
Okay, nice. Okay.
The most fun I have in the game is making content for other people. I do all of it. I do mining, I do some combat, I do all the other things. But the thing that's given me the most joy has been putting on the events and doing content for other people in Elite based out at Hutton. So my favorite role is literally just putting on content for the community, honestly.
Well, that is such a good role because you're expanding the game, aren't you? You know, so that's fantastic. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie?
Yeah, I know it's a difficult one. Mine changes every week.
I wouldn't say it changes every week. If I had to have a go-to, and it's completely not what most people expect, because it's a work of art, because of the music, because of the voice acting in it, I'm going to say Howl's Moving Castle. The Studio Ghibli's Howl's Moving Castle. There are lots of brilliant films. I mean, Withnail and I comes a close second to that one because you can quote every line in Withnail and I.
Mm-hmm.
So Withnail and I, but actually as a work of art, it might go to, if I had to put something on and just immerse myself in a film, Howl's Moving Castle by Hayao Miyazaki, you know, the Studio Ghibli one, with the English dub, because the voice acting, Christian Bale, and what they did with Sophie in that, and no spoilers because you've not seen it, the voices for Sophie in that is a masterclass in voice acting and direction. But it is an incredible film. But if I had to choose something that wasn't a piece of animation, then it would probably be Withnail and I.
Okay, nice.
Or yeah. Yeah, almost famous as well. I would say that's the other one, the semi-autobiographical one of the sort of 70s rock scene.
Yeah,
Cameron Crowe and all that lot. Almost famous. Yeah.
Nice. Favorite TV series?
Favorite. I mean, I could watch The Expanse time and time again. I love The Expanse. Right. I love the books. I mean, it's of the moment. But yeah, I would say the Expanse. You could just bask in this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've gone for a modern series over some of the old classics. Interesting.
Oh yeah. I mean, mainly because it didn't let me down. I love the books. I really love the books, and so many adaptations of books are done really poorly. And I suspect I might actually like the TV show better than I like the books.
We don't hear that very often. Where?
And I'm a real book. I love my books. Basically, I watched it and it didn't disappoint in any way. It was an exceptional piece of translation. A bit like Altered Carbon was. If it was a limited series, they did the book Altered Carbon.
I watched the first series.
First one, yeah, and that was another one that was a really good adaptation from the book, but it wasn't big enough. It ran out, and they did the second series with Anthony Mackie, I think, and then they stopped. Whereas The Expanse, I won't say they completed it, but they've done
enough.
Yeah, they haven't disappointed me in any way, so I'm gonna say that one.
Okay, brilliant. And last question: favorite drink?
Gin.
Gin.
No, I say a bit of gin is one. No, no. I mean, a proper hairy, manly pint of something that has a handle that goes into a thing with a handle would
Proper
be my go-to. But I am partial on a hot day to a gin and tonic.
Nice. David, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on the podcast. Cheers for taking part.
No, thank you. It's good fun. As you can tell, I'm enthusiastic about it all, and always. Yeah,
makes my job easier.
Second I wake, second I go to sleep. This is how enthusiastic I am about stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
And come and join. Well, you can't, but everybody else can come and join us over at ECM, and then we'll take selfies and send them to you.
Oh yeah, please do. Anyway, David, thanks again, and
Thank you.
I'll speak to you soon.
For the mug.
For the mug.